At least take your shirt off.
Do I have my phone?
Hey team, we've got a lot of projects we're gonna pack all into one mega epic, awesome van build episode with a hodgepodge of different projects.
We've been working real hard and we gotta catch you up to speed.
A lot of things to catch you up on. We're gonna walk through a mini tour on our electrical system. We had friends come visit and help us with their build, and they had a finished van, so we got a tour of it.
And then we're gonna wrap it all up by giving you a tour of what our van build looks like so far.
Yeah, it's gonna be an epic video. Let's get into it.
Over the last 4 years, I've been making adventure films out of my Sprinter van. Now, together with my wife Janelle, we are finally giving our van the build out it deserves.
Hey friend, welcome back to the van build series. Apologies from Janelle and I for being a little behind on getting these videos out in between running our production company, Janelle working her job, and trying to build a van.
And pack up our whole place because we're moving out.
Yeah, we've got an announcement to make. We're moving out of our place as of now in 24 days. And we have so much progress to make. It's kind of mind-bending. It's a little bit intimidating.
It's crazy, but we're doing it. We're working hard. It's gonna happen. We're gonna get it done.
The videos have kind of taken a backseat as, I mean, there's so many of these various random projects that could do whole tutorial videos on their own. So we don't really have time to make tutorial videos for every aspect of a van build, and we probably aren't the ones that should be teaching it in the first place. But in this video, we're gonna walk you through a bunch of these random projects that we've been kind of doing, try to get you up to speed, and then finish off the whole thing at the end with kind of a tour of where we're at up to date now to get you excited about what the van build's turning into. And it's gonna be one hodgepodge collection of projects just to get you up to speed.
In the meantime, thank you so much for your response to our Patreon. Thank you so much. We've launched it, it's running. We'd love for you to join and support us as we're working on the van build and just supporting this channel.
Let's dive into the first project. The first thing I want to get you caught up in is I upgraded the alternator and a turbo resonator on the van several months ago now.
There she is.
This tube replaces that, and this is solid aluminum, so it can't bust open.
Okay, so after a solid fight, I got the old alternator out from underneath the van.
So the main reason to upgrade the alternator was to jump up into a larger size, and the reason for that is so that way we can be charging our house bank better when we're driving. So a main charging mechanism for us for our house batteries is going to be running the van. So every time we're driving, it'll be charging our house batteries, which are going to be powering everything. So this is just a nice upgrade, but everything to do with maintaining a vehicle is always just trying to figure it out as I go. I got into this with very, very, very little experience, and that probably shows a little bit.
I've got the new alternator in. It is mounted. Those screws were so hard to get in there, and I was like bashing my knuckles on everything, but we've got it mounted up.
We had some friends stop by, Nate and Steph. They were driving through in their van, and they stayed the night in our driveway and got right to work with our projects.
It was really fun having people stop by and actually get excited about our build, because we were kind of just all on our own. And it was also really fun getting to see their build. So we did a mini tour, but do you want to tell them about the project that you tackled with Steph?
Yeah, Steph and I tackled our headliner. So we had to take off all the fabric and then re-upholster it. We had bought some fabric online, and the next stage was cutting out the right size, and we used a spray adhesive to start upholstering the headliner.
Definitely a two-person job. Really thankful for help today. I would
Nice
have
work,
tackled
Steph.
this by myself and it would have gone horribly wrong.
Nate and Steph from Explorist Life. They're on the tail end of a ski trip.
Yep.
Coming down through the mountains. They're from down in the States somewhere. I don't know where you're from. Where are you from?
Denver-ish.
You've been on the road for like 2 years now, 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years.
But Nate, can we show them the inside of what you got going on?
Let's do it. So this is our living space. Refrigerator down here. So that just slides out like that. All the food in there. closet
All right.
space there.
I'm trying to decide how helpful that will be. Do you like being able to hang stuff like that?
Yeah, it's kind of nice, honestly. Our stove we've got right here, it's an alcohol stove. We've got the plaid and true Canadian form.
Nate has a ridiculous amount of solar up here. So much solar. 780 watts?
825.
825. 825 watts of solar.
So we've got the garage.
Oh, that's so many batteries. I love it.
Okay, so here is our setup. We have 600 amp hours of Battleborn lithium batteries, Victron Energy Smart Solar Charge Controller. So pretty much the same thing Levi's got setting up in his van, which is just a tiny bit bigger. These wires go up top to the panels, and that's pretty much that for the most part.
It was really cool getting to see Nate and Steph's finished van just in our driveway and get excited about what our van will be like finished. Did you enjoy seeing their van?
Oh yeah, it was great just to see someone living in the van and all the pieces working together and just get a feel for the space.
And more than that, also just being able to chat through the logistics of life on the road with work. I think it's really fun actually meeting other people that are doing it and don't just like the idea of doing it, because we've tried extended travel out of vehicles. I lived in the van for 6 months, and there's just certain things that you find out when you've spent longer in a van instead of just looking at Instagram feeds. And so it's nice getting that raw stuff, and Nate and Steph were just really open and sharing what it's been like trying to have a work-life balance while being in the van, while trying to play, trying to go to these different places and skiing.
One of the projects that you and Nate got started on was jumping into our electrical system.
Yeah, that was really fun to just jump head first, because we had ordered a ton of components earlier in the fall, and this was the first time that I got to practically brainstorm where we're going to lay them out in kind of our electric area. And Nate's got a lot of experience with different setups, and he's got an awesome website actually where he's got like all these diagrams.
Yeah, this is gonna be so clean.
That fits good there.
Yeah, now this, so again, we'll just flip down a panel, reach right in, kill things, add wires, change fuses. All our wire runs will go down into the floor, up into the thing. Solar will come straight from up there. Very clean. And we, from this spot, we can work on the main, we can flip up the fuse, we can access cables for the shunt. Definitely one of the most complicated parts of the van build, at least in my head, when I was starting the early preliminary research for this build 4 years ago, was actually understanding which components you actually need to build a whole system. You've got your charge controllers, your inverters, your charger inverters, your solenoids, your shunts, your fuse blocks. There's a lot of different pieces that make up the system. And what I'm kind of reminded by is the first PC that I ever tried to build. You've built a PC?
Yeah, just so many parts that go together, make it work together, CPU, GPU, a keyboard,
You don't want to forget RAM, you don't want to forget a power supply.
Yeah, exactly.
But I remember that feeling of what parts do I actually need to make a working thing? And so when you dive into your own van build, wherever you're at, it can feel a little intimidating. You might just be inclined to go and copy someone's exact parts list. And that's a really great way to know, hey, these are the parts I need for my system. But if you try to then go install that stuff, or maybe you have someone else help you install it, let's say, and you get on the road, if you don't understand what each piece is doing in the system and you run into some issues, it's gonna be very hard to diagnose and solve on your own.
If you've put together your own solar setup, you're going to know what each part is. So if you have problems, you come on, the internet or whatever, and you say, hey, I'm having issues with this, this thing isn't happening. And somebody who's pretty knowledgeable can come along and say, hey, check voltage at your charge controller. If you've installed all of this, you know what that means. And
thankfully,
you can start from there.
Thankfully, this one says charge controller, smart solar.
Labels it.
You put so much energy and time into free resources. I'm kind of blown away by it.
Yeah, so we've gotten a lot of diagrams and stuff like that, but ultimately I think where people get hung up is they try to copy other people's systems. So we've really tried to do a good job on our website to really teach people like how to size their system for like their own needs,
Right.
rather than, because it's like your needs may be different than my needs, maybe
Right.
different than somebody else's needs who's literally just going out and not trying to work on the road or something like that. So we've got all those steps. It's like, how many batteries do you need, how many solar panels do you need? But ultimately, like, if you just really don't want to learn all of that and you just want to get straight to the wiring diagram, we've got diagrams for all different sizes of setups that you could copy if you wanted to.
A big project that I was kind of tinkering away on, just kind of here and there where I had time, was replicating the seat brackets for our 2-person bench seat that's in the van. So it came with these tracks just to put it into a normal driving position, but we don't want it in the driving position most of the time. We want it as a couch against this window here. We've talked about this before, and to pull that off, I needed to replicate the bracket so that way it could be in kind of this resting position. The installing them through the floor process was also a little intense because we had the sheet of plywood with the holes cut out. It's very challenging to cut out hole patterns, but we ended up getting the holes drilled down through the new seat brackets that I had made, which was awesome. High five. Made some brackets.
Huge win.
Huge win. And they worked to put the seat in, but once we realized, okay, they go in, now we had to actually get them attached to the floor. So I basically drilled through the brackets, straight through plywood, straight into the floor of the van, actually beneath that, pulled the plywood out, installed them into the floor, then had to cut out new holes on that sheet of plywood, and that was a lot of jimmy rigging, but now we actually had basically 2 sets of seat brackets in the floor, which ended up being a lot more complicated.
Yeah.
So then Janelle came in, and do you want to explain what you did?
Yeah, so I just basically cut out foam to insulate our floor, but it had to basically be like a puzzle piece all around the brackets. And so just a lot of measuring, but it worked out really good. It all fits together.
For now, we're gonna put coin grip in the front as well. We're probably gonna put some sort of rug or mat in there to spice it up a little bit. If we don't like it, we can always pull out the front section and do some sort of fake hardwood product up here. But just to keep it simple, we're just gonna do coin grip everywhere for now.
Mm-hmm.
Can you show them where the shelf's gonna be and kind of how the face of it's gonna look?
Yeah, so we started taping off where we want the shelf to go. So this green tape, I think we're gonna do the shelf just below, along this edge.
That's kind of a comfortable height so we don't whack heads when we're trying to get in and out of the
Yeah,
area.
so it's above, we did it above these flip down things, what are they called?
Visors?
Visors. And we figured that gives us enough headroom for going down bumpy logging roads and stuff. And then, so it'll come flat all the way out to here.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually decided if we're gonna have like a door or if it's just gonna be open yet, but it'll be some kind of wood finish on this side.
Janelle got the really fun job of cutting out a template for our headliner shelf.
Oh my goodness, that was quite the job. Basically I did it with cardboard first to make sure it was all gonna fit and line up right, and then we copied that over to wood because we're basically putting, a shelf right above where the driver and passenger seat are, and it's gonna have a nice face that you can put stuff into.
It's really close, but not perfect. We didn't expect to be perfect on our first one. So that light area kind of down in there, we want to fill that in a little better so that way if we're bumping down a road, we don't start losing stuff everywhere. It actually looks a lot better from underneath, so that's good.
I then took it and routed the edge so it had a bit of a taper to it so it would snug in nice and tight, and covered it with the same upholstery that Janelle had previously used for the headliner itself. So it's got a nice cohesive look to it, and glued that all together. I actually had to do this twice because I accidentally glued the fabric the wrong way to my first board. That was embarrassing, but just a hit to the pride, and that's fine. So we're gonna install that headliner shelf hopefully very soon here, because it's all wrapped up and ready to go. This is kind of this transition point in our build is actually very exciting. You might think, wait a second, don't you normally insulate first? And we've kind of talked about that in our previous videos, but we didn't insulate first because we had some systems to install.
Yes, we actually found out the best way to organize everything. So we have a place for our water, our electrical, our heating, and it all has a spot, and it's really exciting.
Our big key systems of the van have their place. The design of them is gonna work, which is a big thumbs up. And we needed to figure that out before we actually filled our walls with foam, because there's piping and electrical stuff that needs to go between different junctions. So the first biggest part of our build was framing in and deciding where do our systems go. And a really high priority for me was making sure that we could actually maintain, upgrade, and change our systems down the road, because that seems to be a really big negative. People will go and screw in these plywood walls and glue everything together and then paint it, and their whole water system is behind that, and they can't pull off the wall and fix it if anything breaks. So I'm trying to take a few notes from the boat building world and some of the boats that I've spent time on. A lot of stuff has removable panels and things that you can access. And now a boat isn't driving down the road, it's in the water, and there's a lot less bumps and vibrations and things that can slowly unscrew themselves. So mostly it's just panels that are using their own weight to just hold themselves in place. But we're in the van here, and we want to be able to actually screw things with bolts so that way they don't fall off down the road. So let's kind of talk it through. This is our water wall. This is our electrical wall. Each of these panels here is all removable from the metal framing that I did in. So let's pull off the electrical one. So this is a little bit of a sneak peek into our electrical system. It's 400 amp hours of battle-borne lithium-ion batteries. If you know your batteries, that's exciting. If you don't, we'll make a whole video on our electrical system in the future. But the main thing here is we just wanted to know where we're going to put our batteries, especially because of weight distribution. That's something that we're really conscious of, making sure that our van is balanced when it's fully loaded. And you can actually access and maintain things. So we're in the garage. This is where our big drawer is. So when our drawer is slid out, I'll be able to come down here. This is the bed right here on these rails. I'll be able to come down here and actually access and change things if I want to. We could like come and press switches. This stuff is kind of just set it and forget it, but we want the opportunity to be able to see it and access it. In the forward section of our electrical side, we have the stuff that we actually would need to be accessing more. So this is the electrical side. This is aluminum because it's lighter and it's not as structural bearing as our 400 pounds of water on the passenger side. So let's go over to the passenger side.
Boom.
This lower board right here, again, is a mirror of this side, and that's what's gonna hold the left side drawer slides. We got two stacked, and so, again, we've got these T-nuts in the back so we can bolt those in when it's ready. And this is the gray water stuff. So these are the two combined tanks, and this right here is our bed rail on this side. So this is kind of fixed. And then we've got a cavity up here, which we'll be able to open and access for general storage. This back portion pulls away to reveal some of the main things that we need to figure out. So this right here is the water heater. And so we have a wall that's here, pull away as I just did there. And when we pull this out, so this here is the main reason why we wanted to build this before we insulated. And that's just figuring out where are all our water pipes gonna come down and meet in this area. We couldn't figure this out until we knew how we were gonna frame in our water tank. But that's gonna run down to our pumps, and then that's gonna go through the water heater, which comes up hot and cold across the top of our van down to the shower side. So we're gonna have a shower outlet right here on the wall that's quick disconnect, and then a shower curtain off the back door, and then also sending water up to the front of the van. So we're gonna have this PEX piping go up the wall, which is this stuff here. And we wanted to figure this all out because we're actually gonna insulate this all in. Let's look at the front and then pull this all out. This is the electrical stuff that we're gonna wanna access more often, like fuses and distribution. So all of our wiring is gonna come from this main area. Solar is gonna come from the roof here. We wanted to figure that out before we insulated this all in.
And one of the really cool things about our bench seat is that the back, this foam part, actually lifts up and ends up being the end of our bed. So we're doing that to kind of save some space and create more living area.
So we have bench there, bench here, 2 flip around. We're gonna have space to hang.
We're gonna have parties in this van.
Old mattress stuff that we're cutting as example. This as well is temporary wood. It's not the final wood. When we take the lids off of stuff, okay, underneath the bench seat, this is gonna be like our massive storage pantry chest. We'll just like put 20-pound bags of rice down there and beans and who knows what else. And we're gonna have our sink right here and our tap right here. Just picture in your mind. And that's gonna outlet down this ABS pipe, which drops 1/4 of an inch for every foot. So that way it's got a slope that's going down and it comes over to this area and goes into our gray water tank. So this whole system here is basically just our outflow to get our sink water down into our gray water tank. And we wanted to figure out the measurements of this whole thing and get it kind of roughed in. So that way now when we come and insulate, this is actually gonna be in the wall itself. So let's pull everything out. We're gonna now actually put on our wood batting, so that way we have stuff for our siding to go on. And then it's insulation time.
Insulation time. So here we got our freshwater tank, and water flows through that way. And Levi, what do we have going on over here?
This is our pump and our accumulator. We're doing it outside of the van. We were messing around late doing it inside the van last night just to see if we could get the system working, and there was a few leaks, and so now we're doing our testing outside of the van because you know when you just want to get it going so quickly so you can see if it works and then you cut corners. Well, I tried to cut a few less corners today. This is just wired to the battery at the front. The water heater is just plugged into household power. I just wanted to see if the water heater would work. The main test that I want to find out is the water that runs over the ceiling, do we lose much pressure by doing that? And we're also checking for leaks, which is a very helpful thing to do. This one's simple enough. Over here, I've got the 2 lines coming out, which are going to be for our sink up here. I'm spraying them into a bucket. And so we got our 2, again, this connection obviously is not correct. This is what we're trying to avoid. Oh yeah, look at that pressure.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh, that's so great.
Is it warm, cold?
Yeah, feel it. Like, I don't want to take the first shower with it. Do I have my phone? Oh, I don't. It's sitting over there.
What else is in your pocket?
Nothing important. Van life, baby. Living the dream. We're doing this for my birthday suit.
So how much water is...
Well, right now we're using way more than we should.
Yeah.
But we also have a tap going into our tank. I wonder how well it would work for washing off our car.
Our car does need a good wash. Levi took it out up the mountain the other day.
I'm a little impressed. I didn't think it would be that much pressure through this entire hose and over our roof. It's
because we won't.
Oh, sorry, just shot off my hand.
We won't need to conserve if we can fill up every couple days. It's when we need a couple weeks. Well, our water system works. We have water in the van. We've actually been hard at work getting the van ready for installation. So we've taken the water system out. We've basically taken everything out. And we've been finishing up wiring and getting the wood frame ready and all these different pieces that were ready for installation, but we'll walk you through more of the details of that later.
This is one of those moments where it feels like, what in the world are we doing? Where we pulled? It's I can feel that feeling in my gut where I start to feel just like a little bit overwhelmed because the time is ticking on the countdown of when we need to leave on our trip, because we gave notice. Should we tell them?
Sure.
We gave notice at our basement suite that we're renting, so we're moving out.
We're moving out.
We've got a leave date. Anyhow, that's jumping the gun a little bit. Basically, before we talk about some of the wiring decisions we made, I want to tell you again, you've got time left to be a founding member of our Patreon, and all the founding members are going to get these awesome limited edition, nice, gorgeous, Life's Better When You Make Stuff stickers. These are awesome. I've been getting asked for years to make these, to offer these, so I'm finally doing it. If you're a founding member, you get one of these big stickers. The only way to get one of these is to be a founding member on our Patreon. We're going to be doing a live stream today, so make sure you go sign up and join us for a live stream where we'll share with you our actual progress from within the build, and hopefully it's further than we are right now. But I wanted to remind you that's going on. We're doing some giveaways as well to go along with that, but make sure you just head over to our Patreon to find out more about that. Thank you so much for helping us make these videos.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed our little hodgepodge of all the projects we've been working on lately and how it's all coming together. We're really stoked about how the van build's coming. We got a lot of work to do still.
Okay, bye for now.
Remember,
Life's better when you make stuff.